Alright, so just giving my thoughts on what was a really incredible fight between Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. Andre Ward got the unanimous decision, 114 to 113 for all three judges' scorecards. But personally, I had it 116 to 111 for Sergey Kovalev. I thought he won basically 8 rounds to 4, and then a couple with the knockdown that he managed to score in the second round. Um, got an extra point for that. So I really don't agree with the decision. I thought that Kovalev just racked up way too big of a lead in the early rounds in the first half of the fight for Ward to really be able to catch up. And even though Ward was doing excellent work in the back half of that fight, majorly from round 6 through 12, I thought that he needed pretty much every one of those rounds in order to win this fight. The only problem was I didn't think that he won all of those rounds. I thought that a lot of those rounds were swing rounds. I thought that they could have gone either way, and so I wound up giving a couple of those to Kovalev in the process. To me, the way to get Ward as the winner of this fight, you literally had to give him every single possible round, every single close round that you could, find, and even rounds that Kovalev probably should have gotten edge to him, but Ward did some good work as well, and so just giving him it based off of just the general closeness of it. But honestly, I thought Kovalev won the fight, so I'm really disappointed with the decision. Didn't think it was a good decision. I'm hoping that there's going to be a rematch. I'm not sure about the ability or the existence rather of a rematch clause. Exactly if that's going to come about or how soon it may come about. But I think I think I want more. I think most of the fans want more. I think most people didn't agree with the decision. It seemed like most of the fans in the arena didn't. It seems like kind of like scrolling through my timeline, just taking a bit of a cursory look. It seems like a lot of people had it really close, but overall, most seem to think that Kovalev won by and large. They thought it was a close fight that Kovalev deserved the decision for, and I can't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, yeah, my card is on the wide side, yes, but Ward was very competitive in that fight, very competitive in a major way throughout that entire fight. I'm just kind of looking through, seeing what people's scorecards were, the punch stats and all that. Yeah, might as well throw in the punch stats, even though they're not the pinnacle of accuracy. We got total punches. Kovalev landed 126 out of 474. Ward landed 116 out of 337. So Ward won on percentage, but Kovalev won in actual punches landed, the amount of punches landed. Total jabs, 48 out of 242 for 19.8%. 55 out of 168 for Ward for 32.7%. So Ward won the battle of the jabs there. It's, primarily in the latter half. You got to imagine that those jabs came. Power punching got 78 out of 232 for 33.6% for Kovalev and 61 out of 169 for 36.1% for Ward. So Ward won the percentage wise. Kovalev won in the actual number of power punches landed. And really, Kovalev's punches really were landing harder. I thought clearly. Every time he landed a punch, especially in the early part of the fight, he was moving Ward around the ring. He had really good leverage under the shot and just good power behind it. A little bit later, Kovalev was definitely taking the shot significantly better. Took the right hand a lot better than he had earlier. Of course, the right hand being the shot that he got dropped with. Took the jab a lot better as well because he was getting rocked early on with the jab. And responded back with his own, doing some good counters of his own as well. But I thought that Kovalev won the fight. Can't really say much more than that. It was almost like a tale of two fights. Kovalev just dominant in the first half of the fight, and then Ward majorly coming back from, I'd say, like round 6 through 8 is where Ward really, I thought, did his best work, and then from then on it was almost like a battle, just a toe to toe, blow for blow. Back and forth, shift and tide type of battle. Battle of the jab. They were landing jabs at the same time. They were landing hooks at the same time. Good shots landed on from both men. And I mean, just a great fight from both men. You gotta definitely give props to Ward, even if, I give props to Ward anyway. Even though I don't think that he won the fight, he showed a lot of heart, a lot of grit, and a lot of determination to pull himself back into the fight and make it as close as he did, because it was looking like he was just gonna get completely blown out, blown away, and that was all there was gonna be to it. Potentially even stopped. You never even knew how that may have turned out, especially in the early rounds, considering how hard Kovalev was hitting him. But he managed to come through and pull through and managed to get everything close enough to nick a decision. But Kovalev to me won the fight. He really deserved the decision, and he definitely deserves a rematch. For a champion to lose his belts in that manner is really unfortunate, and I definitely think that he deserves a rematch. To me, he was the better man in the fight, and he really won the fight. He just didn't get the decision. He won. That's all there can be said for just looking at it objectively, just in pure perspective. So good fight from both of them, though. Fantastic fight. Definitely one of the fights of the year. I'd still say that like my personal fight of the year. I'll revisit this when we get closer to the end of the year, simply because of the fact that we have a little over a month of great boxing ahead of us, and of course, I mentioned in a video last year, people were jumping the gun on these fighter of the year awards because you can't forget Japan putting on the New Year's cards, doing it big dog style, 8 title fights within 2 days, and so one of those could very easily become the fight of the year. But insofar as questions about who the pound for pound number one is, to me it's still Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Managed to get a close decision in a somewhat of a controversial fight as well against Carlos Cuadras, but I definitely think that he deserved a decision against Cuadras way more than Ward deserved a decision over Kovalev. By a clear couple of leagues. I thought Head and Shoulders did better against Cuadras, moving up against an established tough great champion compared to what Ward did against Kovalev, where I thought that Ward legitimately lost, and I thought that Gonzalez Cuadras was a drawish type fight where that could have gone either way, and Gonzalez managed to get the decision. So that's just the way that I saw it from pretty much every perspective that I could think about it. What's next for both of these guys? I'm sure the rematch is going to be next. People are going to be clamoring for it. I'm hoping that this pay-per-view did fairly well enough, and I'm hoping that the overall thoughts behind this fight are that people want more. Now, I definitely want more. I thought that was tremendous action. 12 rounds of tremendous action from both of them. You saw a lot of the things that make boxing a great sport, in spite of the bad decision, personally, that I think that kind of harms boxing in a lot of people's eyes. But 12 more rounds of that, I'm definitely in for it. I'm in it, and I'm down to watch it anytime we see a fight like that. Who knows? Maybe we may even see a trilogy out of these two guys fighting, which wouldn't be too great for Adonis Stevens' sake. But who knows? Maybe it might be good for his sake, because he's definitely trying to prove that he's the best at light heavyweight as well. And maybe if Ward and Kovalev wear each other down a little bit, that'll be better for Steven in the aftermath, because he'll be able to get the winner off of potentially 3 tough fights, if not 2. So that's pretty much all I got to say about the Kovalev Ward fight. Give a quick shout out to the undercard. We had 3 fights. We had Maurice Hooker versus Darly Perez in a fight that I actually thought was a bit of a robbery draw. It was a 3-way split draw. 2 judges had it either way. One judge had it for Darly Perez, one judge had it for Maurice Hooker. The third judge had it a draw, so it wound up being a 3-way split draw. Honestly, I thought that Darly Perez controlled the action, controlled the tempo, kind of beat up Maurice Hooker by and large. Maurice Hooker started to get his way back into the fight in the mid to late rounds a little bit, but even then he was still eating a lot of shots, generally speaking. And I just thought that that Darly Perez really won more rounds. He was landing a lot of clean overhand rights. It seemed like Hooker didn't really have a defensive maneuver to evade that shot enough. And to me, Darly Perez definitely should have won that fight, which was a bit of a shame. But at least he didn't get outright robbed and get a loss on his record, another loss, which definitely would have harmed him in the short run and in the long run. Because he could potentially be in line for maybe like an optional title shot for one of these top level fighters at 135 pounds. And then we also had Curtis Stevens versus James De La Rosa, another fight where actually I thought James De La Rosa should have got the decision. But Curtis Stevens wound up getting a wide decision, actually, a pretty surprisingly wide decision. 98-90 on one card, 96-92 on the other two. To me, I thought that De La Rosa got it pretty much 96-92 for his way. I thought that he should have won the fight. I thought he pretty much outboxed Curtis Stevens. Stevens was landing some pretty heavy, clean shots. hurt De La Rosa early, and but in the mid to late rounds, De La Rosa pretty much took over, outboxed him, outmoved him, outmaneuvered him, controlled the distance, controlled the tempo of the fight. And to me, I thought that he should have got that decision. So like it's kind of funny now, actually looking back on the entire card. The decisions overall didn't really I didn't really agree with him with regards to how I scored him. And then the other fight, the one that came, that was actually the second fight on the card, even though I thought originally it was supposed to be the co-main event, was Alexander Gvozdyk versus Isaac Chilemba, in which Gvozdyk looked really, really impressive against Chilemba, managing to stop Chilemba on his stool after 8 rounds. He was unable to continue. They said due to a broken hand, but it also looked like his nose was busted up pretty badly. Gvozdyk pretty much controlled the action from start to finish for the most part. I got Chilemba a couple rounds though. There was a couple of moments where he was able to counterpunch Gvozdyk well and out-jab him, but Gvozdyk's hand speed and his combinations and the way that he was able to throw the jab, throw a double jab, triple jab, hook off the jab, that kind of classic Robert Garcia boxing style, just paid dividends. You know, just the hand speed and the constant combination punching was really flummoxing Chilemba in a major way, and to me that's really what did the job for Gvozdyk, and made it so that he basically was able to rack up enough damage on Isaac Chilemba that Chilemba thought it better to pack it in and save himself for another day. So solid win for Gvozdyk, and he actually did more impressively than Kovalev did against Chilemba, and more impressively than anybody did against Chilemba, frankly. Managing to cleanly defeat him and completely stop him altogether. So that's all there was to it. I'll catch you guys on the next video, and that's all I got to say about the whole pay-per-view. So peace out to the next one.